What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to some of the dumbest things that Americans have ever said about Canada. So today, I want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked, "What's the funniest thing someone has ever told you when they found out that you are Canadian?" And a whole bunch of Canadians have commented on this question and left their funny, crazy stories. And not surprisingly, most of these stories seem to have to do with Americans who generally, to be honest, we don't really understand Canada at all. So I thought it'd be fun to take a look at some of these. And so let's see here what people said. Some of the craziest, funniest, dumbest things that Americans have said about Canada. Starting with, there was a person who said, "How many channels do you guys have on your TV? Like, how many programs do you have?" What? What a weird. Like, honestly, if that happened to me, I'd be kind of insulted. Like, I don't know if that's what it's meant to be, but it's like this person thinks Canada is a third world country. Like, do you guys have TV? How many channels? Wow. Did you invent the radio? Yeah, like that's what I'm getting. It's that very weird. Like, I don't know. Maybe they were honestly just curious about Canadian TV programming. Maybe. Here's another one where a person asked, "Where are you from?" And they said, "Ontario." And they said, "Where in Ontario?" And they said, "I'm near Toronto." And they said, "Where is Toronto?" This had to be an American, because this is such an American thing to say. Where is Toronto? I, to be honest, for most of my life, I didn't know where Toronto was, like on a map of North America. I couldn't tell you. So I know from personal experience, well into my adult life, I didn't know. Like, I had to make a lot of effort and like look it up and be like, okay, it's in Ontario, it's there. And most Americans don't even do that. So they said, "Where is Toronto?" Which is also Americans, we should be like a little more embarrassed to ask questions like that, but you know what? Maybe they just want to learn, which is good. It's in Ontario? What the heck? That's your answer? It's in Ontario. Well, for a lot of Americans, that doesn't mean anything either, unfortunately. Here is another funny conversation with a family member who's not Canadian. And they said, "I was talking about Niagara Falls, and they said, 'Where is that in California?'" Why? This is another thing that I've noticed a lot of us Americans do. We assume everything is in the United States, or everything is American. Like, even when we learn about a actor who's famous, and we're like, and we learn they're Canadian, we're like, "What? Huh? What? I thought they were American. I thought they were from California. What? Ryan Gosling? What?" It's like, why? It's because I've experienced that too. It's like, what? People exist out of the United States? Since when? What? So they said, "Where is that in California?" And this American also had the Niagara Falls license plate. So this American had Niagara Falls like style license plate on their car. and they still didn't know where Niagara Falls. I, you know, I'm being real honest today. I didn't know where Niagara Falls was. That's another thing I learned in the last like year of my life, where Niagara Falls is. I didn't know. Or that it was in, there's like an American one and a Canada one, sort of, however you want to look at it. But I didn't know anything about all that either. So I know this is true stuff, true American stuff here. I don't know if it's funny to anyone else, but whenever I tell an American I'm from Ottawa, they have absolutely no idea what that is or where it is. Is this? That's a good question that I have. Is this funny to Canadians? Is this amusing, or is it like at a certain point is it like annoying and disrespectful where you're like, you think so little of us, you don't even know like where our capital is, Ottawa. Um, I don't know exactly where Ottawa is on a map. I know it's in Ontario, right? Um, I used to confuse Ottawa and Ontario, but that was back before I even knew about provinces in general were a thing. So, yeah, that's like, I am interested in that thought, like, because I don't think it's that Americans think so little of Canada. It's just that Americans don't know where anywhere is. We don't know where anything is outside of the United States. Like maybe if we could label like where France, like France or something on a map, and all Americans could like label Canada as a like the country, like that's Canada right there, that big thing. But if you ask us to get specific about any country other than America, we're pretty hopeless. Yeah, the only Americans I know about Toronto and Montreal, maybe Vancouver. I growing up, I had heard of Toronto, I'd heard of Montreal, and I've heard of Vancouver. I've heard the names, but I had no idea where those were. It's like if someone asks where you are and you just say a city that they would know. Yeah, I mean, even if you say Ontario or British Columbia to a lot of Americans, they'd probably be like, "Okay, that's in Canada, right?" The okay, this American said, "I feel sorry for y'all having to put up with that Justin Thoreau." I feel very sorry for y'all having to put up with Justin Thoreau, some drunk lady in Texas. That's about right. Yeah. They feel sorry for Canadians when I think a lot of I think more Americans need to hear what Canadians feel sorry about us for and our country and our government. I'm sure it's mutual. And we and I didn't even address the Justin Thoreaux. I'm actually surprised that they even knew the gist of the name. I wonder if Justin Trudeau was actually pretty like well known to a lot of Americans for some reason. I don't know if a lot of Americans know about Mark Carney. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. In normal American day-to-day conversation, we don't talk about Canadian government and Mark Carney and Canadian elections. So I really have no idea. Probably not. Okay, let's keep going though. It says, I used to live in the 519 area code, which is a pretty big area in Ontario. Okay. I was in Mansfield, Ohio, which is in Ontario County. I'm sorry, what? You were in Mansfield, Ohio. That sounds like somewhere in America. This is in Ontario? Or is there an Ontario in Ohio? This is really confusing. This is the most confusing thing they could have possibly said in a discussion about Americans talking about Canada. This is the most confusing place you could have possibly brought up. I was in Mansfield, Ohio, in Ontario County. I don't know if you're in Canada or the United States. I have no idea. But anyway, doing some photography of events, I accidentally stepped on my cell phone charger. At the time, in the United States, the only place that had my phone charger was Verizon. So I went to the Verizon store. I got there and I told the guy I have a LG C2000 phone. It's an old school phone. He goes to the computer trying to find a charger in the United States that is compatible with a Canadian exclusive phone. And he finds it. I go to the register, and the lady at the register says, "Can I get your telephone number?" I say, "It doesn't matter. I'm not from around here." So this is taking place in the United States. This is a Canadian in the United States buying a cell phone charger. "I need your number to input it into the computer to complete the transaction." "Fine. My number is 519. And she says, 519? 519? "Yes, 5194. "Where are you from?" "Ontario." "I am too. The area code is 419. "I know that, but I'm not from around here. My area code is 519. "Sir, the area code in Ontario here is 419. To their credit, it sounds like they are in Ontario County in Ohio, which is extremely confusing if you say, "Well, I'm from Ontario." You have to specify with Americans, especially if you live in the one part of America called Ontario. It doesn't matter. Just put in whatever area code you want. "No, it has to be accurate. I need your phone number." At this point, this is turning into a whole ordeal. Oh my God. This is becoming way overblown. Kind of by miscommunication on both parties, though, I have to say. At this point, the other guy is working us, hearing her raise her voice. The cashier is raising their voice to you? Over a phone number? That's not okay. "Look, how long did it take you to get into work today?" 10 minutes. "Why?" "It took me 8 hours to get here." This is the Canadian? You need to explicitly say, "Listen, I am from a country far away called Canada in a place called Ontario, not Ontario County, Ohio." And I think that would have better served you in this dispute. The other guy comes over and calmly explained that I am from Ontario, Canada. How in Canada they also have area codes, and he is laughing? Huh? They're laughing at your area code? What? He cashed me out and I'm on my way. Oh my God. This person had a very unfortunate, confusing, kind of specific, strange experience in America. I used to work at a call center for the computer manufacturer that rhymes with, called Dell, and had a US caller call me and say, "I'm so glad I got hold of someone American." Really? So they're at a call center. They take calls from all the United States, and they got an American saying who listened to them talk, a Canadian talk, and was like, "Oh, I'm so glad I got an American." Because I guess sometimes you get like people from way far away, like in India or something, answering your phone calls. So this American was like, "I'm so glad I got an American, yes." And I had to say, "No, I'm actually in Canada." They said, "But you don't have an accent." Putting on my best Bob and Doug voice. "Well, if you like, I could talk like this, eh?" I mean, that is a very, very perpetuated stereotype in America. A lot of Americans do genuinely think all Canadians sound like that. That's why this guy said, "Oh, you sound American." And it's like, I don't think Americans realize. I think we've really overblown how Canadians sound and the Canadian accent, especially after listening to it on YouTube and stuff. I think Canadians sound way more similar to us Americans than we thought. Um, we literally think it's the Bob and Doug McKenzie voice. I was in Pennsylvania. I told a woman that I was in Canada, and she asked with great interest, "What's it like to live in such a vast, frozen wilderness?" Again, again, this might sound so dumb, but this is kind of what we're taught. We're not taught much, but about Canada. This is kind of what we are taught as children. Like it's a vast, frozen wilderness you guys have taken control of. Once I stopped laughing, I told her, I live in a part of Canada where it rarely even snows, and there's plenty of people. I had a cab driver in New Orleans ask me if it really snows 2 or 3 feet in Canada. Um, that depends on where you live in Canada, right? He asked me, does it hurt? Does it hurt when it snows? What? Because it's cold? Or I was confused until I realized he thought all of the snow fell at once, like a 2 foot brick of snow. What? What? I mean, most Americans understand snow. Most parts of the United States get some snow. That's kind of rare. Oh, it's New Orleans. So it's pretty south. They thought literally a 2 foot pile of snow lands on you all at once. That would be terrifying. Okay. So we visited my dad's cousin who moved to Boulder, Colorado for a degree that doesn't exist in Canada. She met her husband and decided to stay there in Colorado and had kids. So we were over there on the 4th of July and went to a football stadium in Colorado to see fireworks and brought towels with us. They had a Canadian flag towel, so we took that. Okay. We saw, there was a group of 20-year-olds who saw the towel and yelled, "Canada!" and tried to sing the Canadian national anthem and instead sang the Genova anthem from the Princess Diaries. They had no idea they were wrong and very pleased with themselves. That's funny. That's funny. I thought most Americans know, like, "Oh, Canada," like the beginning at least. To sing the literal different country, I don't. That is funny. On the internet in the 90s, an American asked me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Vancouver." American said, "Washington." Okay, cool. And I said, "No, Canada." And he said, "Do you have electricity there?" Oh my God. Sadly, they were not kidding. I was also asked if I live in an igloo. That I understand the igloo. I thought that when I was a kid too, that Canadians live in igloos and it's always winter and the no electricity thing is weird to me. That's like at the beginning with the like what TV channels do you guys have? I guess there's Americans who think Canada is like some kind of primitive. I don't get it. That's really weird to me. If you're a sensible adult, you should know Canada like is a very normal, successful, technologically advanced country. Like is very strange to me to ask if Canada has electricity. That's I don't think that's normal. I hope not. Okay, well, this just goes on and on and on because I guess Americans just say the darndest things about Canada, but I thought this would be funny to take a look at. A little embarrassing for us, but it was entertaining. So I enjoyed this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any of these funny, dumb things Americans have said about Canada or your story, if you're Canadian, about the dumbest thing an American has said to you about Canada. That would be funny to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and seeing and hearing Canadian things I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.